welcome back to the Girly Girl Bookworm. I honestly cannot believe that I am sitting here in front of you guys right now. It is January 2nd of 2021. I have not seen you guys since probably October. Life just got absolutely chaotic. I did warn you guys kind of around the summertime that I was toying with canceling my channel and just moving on, and then I just kind of abruptly disappeared. I will say that teaching during a pandemic is nothing like I would have ever anticipated. I obviously knew going back to teaching after a 1-year maternity leave was going to be really difficult. I didn't realize how difficult it would be going back after a year and dealing with a pandemic. It's been very stressful. Just constantly wondering, am I going to get sick? Is Patrick going to get sick? Is Sydney going to get sick? Am I going to get exposed? And who's going to get exposed? We've had 2 quarantine situations. Luckily, none of us got sick through them, but we've had 2 times where we've had to have somebody in the household quarantine, and it just makes life extremely stressful and extremely difficult. And I've been spending time just not reading, watching TV, being too exhausted to even focus, and really trying to want to be in the moment with my family when we are together because of all the high stress that's been going on. Family meaning like me, Patrick, and Sydney, because we have, since going back to school, really gone back to pretty much being completely quarantined again. Granted, like we still haven't been in a store since March. And we've really only been seeing family and driveway visits, so we really haven't broken out of our stay at home besides going to work. So it's been very hectic. It's been a struggle trying to get used to it. The week after Thanksgiving, we were extremely lucky that we were allowed to teach from home, which was such a relief. It was such a weight off my shoulders to be able to teach my kids from home and not have to be in school. Because I don't know if you know, but I am 5 days a week with my entire class of 16 or 15 kids, give or take. So I'm in my classroom 5 days a week with all my kids all the time. So it was kind of a nice, just not have to worry about telling kids to wear a mask and not telling kids to get away from each other. And it was just kind of a nice reprieve that I was very tempted to come back to YouTube after that because I had felt so relaxed. And then I was so scared that if I came back, that it would be this tease because I knew that once I went back to work, especially in the month of December, that it wasn't going to happen and I would disappear again. And that's not fair to you. That's not fair to me. That's not fair to anybody. So I figured I would not come back. And then we've obviously had Christmas break and we are on a week-long distance teaching from home again after the holidays. So I was like, you know what? Here's my chance. I'm going to film a whole bunch of videos, give you guys some content, and then I'll reassess again after that. So we'll see how this ends up turning out. I know a lot of you have reached out telling me how much you miss my videos and how you want me to come back. And I would have loved to come back sooner. It wasn't good for my mental health at all to try to take on another responsibility. So I'm really sorry for that, but YouTube had to kind of go. If you don't follow me, though, on Instagram, please follow me on Instagram. There, it's so much easier for me to be able to post a video, post an update. So if you really want to keep track of what I'm doing, follow me there. Follow me on Goodreads. I usually link everything down below, so please go check me out there because I'm there 24/7. So I wanted to update you where I've been, but I also wanted to do a check-in on my 2020 goals. So I made 7 goals last year, and let's see how I did. So my very first goal was to read 100 books in the year 2020, and I did that. I reached 153. I thought I would have read more considering I was home from January until September, but that didn't really happen. I think because, like I said, I kind of hit the ruts of the times where I just wasn't reading as much as I wanted to, but 153 is totally okay. This year my goal is going to be to read 100 again, just because I like having that even number to reach, and then if I go past it, it's just icing on the cake. I had a goal to read at least 2 Kindle books a month, which I totally forgot about. I thought my goal was to read 1 Kindle book a month. I technically didn't meet this goal because I think there was 1 or 2 months that I didn't read from my Kindle. But I counted, and I believe I've read 28 books through my Kindle. So technically, if you divide it out, I did read at least 2 books a month. So I'm going to count that as a success. Some books were books that I even already had on my shelf, but I couldn't focus on a physical book, and I just read it on my Kindle. So it still counted as reading on my Kindle. Read at least 1 nonfiction a month. I kind of passed this one-ish. I only read 11. August, I read half of one, and then I just, things went wrong. Patrick broke his hand. We were going back to school. It was chaotic, but I did eventually finish that one. So technically, I kind of read a nonfiction book every month. I just didn't complete one in that month. So 11 out of 12, I count that as a success, especially considering I went from reading basically no nonfiction to at least having something every month. So count that as a success. And then read all of Reese's picks from Reese's Book Club, and I read 11 out of 12. I will talk more about why I didn't read that 12th one in my Reese's wrap-up video, but I did read 11 out of 12, and it was a purposeful 11 out of 12. So I, again, call this a success. Buy less. That's funny. That's really funny. I think I have ended the year 2020 with more books than I started with unread, but you know what? I blame the pandemic. Part of it was that I wanted to reinstate Project 50, and I did reinstate Project 50. I succeeded with Project 50. But I did have a lot of pre-orders this year, and once Project 50 was over, especially with the pandemic, I just went bonkers and bought so many things. So I kind of successfully did this because I did do Project 50 and I did complete it, but then I kind of went crazy. So it is what it is. I'm not complaining. Number 6 was to maintain my YouTube and Instagram, because in the beginning of 2020, I was really excited. I had really started taking this professional spin and turn on YouTube and Instagram, and I was being so consistent and awesome. And Instagram, I will say, I have stayed on the bandwagon there. I have stayed posting. I have been putting everything that I read. I've been writing a review for everything I read on Instagram and Goodreads. So I will say that Instagram, I think that I have been very consistent and very successful with that goal. YouTube, I was all the way up until October when I took my unintentional hiatus. So I will say that it was kind of a yes, but also think in January I didn't know that COVID-19 was coming. So I'm going to take this as a win because I did it as successful as I possibly could have. And the last one was read your pre-orders the month you get them. So I kind of doctored this one as the year went. So I started off with read them the month you get them. And then I realized that's not really plausible for most books. So then I said read them the month you get them or the next month. And then I turned into just read them kind of close to when you get them. And then I turned it to just read them before the end of the year. And I read every single book I pre-ordered except one. So I'm so proud of myself for that, because I will say that I pre-ordered so many books this year that I am so happy that I only missed out on one. I did attempt to start it on the last day of the year. I read about 40 pages or 30 pages, and the New Year's Eve day just kind of things happened and it didn't end up getting to finish it. But I did at least attempt to start it. So again, I count that as a win. If you knew how many books I pre-ordered this year, the fact that I only didn't get to one is very successful. So overall, my goals were pretty well attained, I think. But my goals for 2021 are to essentially have no goals. What? So I think I'm going to definitely keep my Goodreads goal. Like I said, I'm going to have that goal of meeting 100. If I meet 100, great. If I don't, whatever, it's okay. But I think this year with 2020, I definitely cornered myself way too much. My TBRs every month were like, okay, I've got my nonfiction, I've got my Reese's pick. I do my buddy read over with Kendra on Instagram, and so that was always a guaranteed book I had to read. I've been trying to participate as much as I could with Mama Lee Ellen's book club, and so like by the end, and then add my pre-orders in, I had no room to read basically anything that I really wanted to read. There was no room for mood reading, because even though it was kind of set as like you could read a nonfiction, doesn't matter which nonfiction, it still was like you have to do this. And it got very hard, especially like in September. I think I had like 6 books that I pre-ordered. And so it just got really, really overwhelming. And I felt like as much as I liked what I read this year, there's a lot of books that I really, really enjoyed. I found myself very cornered. Like there's so many books on my shelf that I'm like really angry with myself that I didn't get to them this year because I had all these other priorities. So my goal for 2021 is to kind of have no goals and to let myself just live my life and kind of just take things as I want them. I think we learned a lot during the pandemic of like when you have such like set things, like sometimes you just have to be satisfied with like, I don't know how to say it. Like, the goals don't essentially matter. The fact that I read one nonfiction a month ultimately doesn't matter. So, like, I think this year I just kind of want to let myself be happy and do what I need to do to make myself happy. So, even though I'm coming back to YouTube, I want to do it professionally and I want to do it as consistently as possible. I also don't want to have the added pressure of that comes with YouTube. So I really just kind of want to learn to let myself kind of like roll with the punches a little more and just kind of let things go the way that they need to. So no goals for 2021 minus reading 100 books. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope that I will be seeing you very soon. I missed you all. So obviously, like I said, follow me on Instagram, follow me on Goodreads, all links down below, and I will see you guys very, very soon. Bye, everybody.